What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 391 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR. I have my co-host with me, Alex.
Hi.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
You're awake.
I am.
You are conscious. You're not drinking a monster. I haven't seen you drink any. How many monsters are you in? Zero monsters?
Yep.
That's significant. Also, I just put the connection together between monster and monsters because you make monsters.
I do.
And sometimes you get so tired you have to drink a monster.
Sometimes.
You've been saying monster. Is that intentional? Do you get monsters strictly because, or
No,
is that just
'cause
your go-to energy drink?
That's the only one that works for me and that I dig.
This is the hard-hitting material that people tune in for. It is spooky month.
Sorry, we're a little bbit behind.
It happens.
We're trying to find topics and people to talk to. We don't want to cover stuff we've covered a lot before. Since it's October, normally we do spooky stuff. We've talked to other haunters, makeup artists. We tell ghost stories. We look into old tales and legends. And so we decided it's time to take a route we haven't taken before. And let's talk about a bit more of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk things that we can't identify that might be soaring through the atmosphere.
Right. And they might be in the shape of a dish.
Or a cigar. Or a Tic Tac.
Oh, yep.
Or a triangle.
Yeah. Right. Or what's the thing that cats drink out of?
Bowls.
Saucers. This is already a train wreck. Joining us this week, just in time for the wreck, is one of our bestest friends in the whole wide world. And it's not spooky unless we talk with Will. Will, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Will is joining us via the Skype, the best part about it is he's not joining us via Skype 3 hours into the past.
Right.
Future? Past. He's in the same...
past, my future.
Yes, yep. Same time zone now.
Mm-hmm.
Our boy's back on the East Coast. We are thrilled about this. So that means that we can bother him at 8 o'clock at night, and it's 8 o'clock at night for him too, not 5 o'clock dinner time. I'm busy. I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't spooky unless we talk with Will. So we figure there it is.
Everyone can hear it. Just imagine that we're going to be cliche and play the X-Files intro theme.
Right.
We're not actually going to do it.
Right.
But you can hear it right now.
That's a copyright
Whoa,
strike.
Whoa.
What?
I was promised the X-Files theme.
Look, you can have the X-Files theme whenever you'd like.
I often do. It used to be a ringtone of mine.
I believe that. 100%. In fact, if you said that I've never had that as a ringtone, I'd probably get upset.
You're a liar.
And then I get mad. Yeah, you're either lying or you're just saying things to try and upset me. And but I'm glad that we kind of got that. But fortunately, as much as I would love to play the X-Files theme, I don't need that copyright strike right now.
Yeah,
no.
no.
For all 3 listeners who might check it out on YouTube. By the way, youtube.com/OMV podcast. You can listen to every episode starting from like 240 something or something, whenever YouTube linked up with Libsyn.
So in past episodes, when we talked with Drew Meager about his wood carvings and his prints there, like where they would look like old-timey, archaic, like Dark Ages wood carvings, but he'd include things like UFOs or aliens.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that never actually happened, but they look kind of legit. Like sometimes I can't tell them apart.
Right.
And because he digs that stuff. And one of the times we talked with Brett, he told us about the Mothman, but that included incidents with Ingrid Cold and his hovering cylinder and some that's what it was, and some weirdo Men in Black stuff. And it's like that's kind of been the extent of our supposed extraterrestrial talks and things we've mentioned, and that's kind of it. So
It's time to dive in.
yeah. I've been listening to last podcast on the left, and they talk a lot about every episode is like a new weird topic. Sometimes they do serial killers, sometimes they do ghost stories, and they also do a lot of conspiracy theories. And I like when they do some of their alien stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a fun group of guys. But
are they touring? I believe they're touring.
They are.
And I think they were coming nearby, but it's sold out. No.
There might be tickets like on StubHub or some crap like that.
Resellers.
Just
and-
overcharge
Yep.
for them.
Yep.
Which I might still be into.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm intrigued, despite the fact that I haven't listened to their stuff. But a lot of people who I take seriously take them seriously. So.
But I'm on history.com and I'm looking at a list of the 5 most credible modern UFO sightings. And
Credible. Like what? How does one define a credible modern UFO sighting?
I'd imagine it's a matter of like how many people see it, how
Right.
many like witnesses can say they
Photographic
saw
evidence.
it. I want to lean towards word of mouth.
Right.
It's not like hearsay or anecdotes, because if you take like 12 different people who aren't really connected and they all say they saw the same thing and from different angles and different places, then I take that over like a blurry picture or a blurry video, because what we can do now with our technology of photo editing and Photoshop and video editing and CGI, it's ridiculous and amazing, and I wouldn't know how to
Differentiate.
how to debunk that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick this right off right now. I'm gonna have both of you answer this question. Have either of you ever seen, or maybe think you may have seen, a unidentified flying object? I'm gonna start with Will.
I've never seen a shape, a saucer or a disc or a triangle or anything. I've definitely seen some weird lights. And in like middle school, I was really into space and the stars and things. And I took like a club. There was like a club after school, and towards the end of it, there was a late night where we would come out and after dark with our parents, we got to look through telescopes and things. And that's when I learned about you can see satellites moving in space. So it's just a constant light that scans across the sky in a straight line. So that kind of was like cool to get to see a satellite and know that that's what I was looking at in the sky. It just looks like a star that's moving, but it doesn't flicker like a star would. So you can actually find them and pinpoint them on clear nights. I've seen weird lights and other such sort of light phenomena, I guess, but nothing that I ever attributed to like, ooh, that's a being from another planet come to pass us by and say no thanks, they're too dumb.
Well, we are. So
I mean, that is the argument is if
Yeah.
intelligent life ever were to stumble upon our planet, like, would they even consider us to be worthy of their time? Like, look, I'm not going to get political. Anyways, we're going to move on.
I actually hope that is the truth. If I'm honest, I wanna think that there is that there's life out there somewhere. That they're just, I mean, they're coming to visit us, so clearly they're already more advanced. We've only made it to our moon, so I guess that's my thought process on it.
It's hard to believe that we're not alone in the entire universe, considering it's so gargantuan. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way, right? Like, there has to be
what it took to create life, even just in us or on this planet, had to be such a perfect occurrence that it could be nearly impossible for it to happen again. Like, it's not just like, oh, well, all you need is water. Well, you need some other things. Like, you need to use a lot of other
Yeah,
stuff.
a couple other things.
Most of the time.
Maybe some hydrogen, maybe some carbon.
You got any carbon? So, like, in this conversation, usually I'll just take, like, the opposing view and be like, we take a lot for granted. And we try and study things in hot springs and be like, can this bacteria survives in hot springs? Well, nothing's supposed to survive there. And what survives inside of glaciers? Well, anything's supposed to survive there. But like, our glaciers be melting and like stuff's crawling out of it. We're unleashing like old viruses we haven't had in
There's
1,000 years.
there's a movie that started like that, isn't there?
Which one was it?
Where this thing got thought out. And
Oh,
then
The Thing? Was that The
yeah,
Thing?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even mean to say the word thing. Oh, I was trying to not give it away.
It's hard to not describe the thing in a generic term when the go-to generic term is thing. The
John
original
Carpenter.
thing was basically a giant monster carrot.
A carrot?
A carrot.
Explain.
Carrot, yeah. In the original like 50s movie that John Carpenter's Thing is a remake of, he was essentially just a big carrot. Like he shared the same properties with a vegetable, and I think they just electrocuted it and like basically cooked it.
Well,
That's
So
good. Thanks, John, for making that better.
thanks for ruining many nights'
Oh.
sleep.
Yeah, but I want to say that like the possibility of other life in the universe has to be so difficult. Like if we were an inch closer or farther away from the sun, then there's no chance we would survive. We'd be too hot or too cold.
Right. We're in that Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, it's just right.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's the chances of that happening throughout the rest of the universe? It's got to be real slim.
I mean, the thing that kills me is like when you look at, you see like, oh, hey, look at this image of all these galaxies here.
Mhm.
And it's like, we're going to zoom in on a 1 pixel by 1 pixel part of this of this image.
Yeah.
In this pixel, there are 100 billion different galaxies. And I'm like, there has to be. Like, it's so enormous. It's like, first of all, space scares the shit out of me.
Mhm.
I think I was in the same vein as you, Will, as a kid. Like, I loved space. I had these giant posters on my wall that like were the whole they were enormous. It was like 18 feet long. It was huge. Like, I used to really be into space. I remember one time my mom's friends had a telescope and they had it pointed at the moon, and it was like high power. Like it was legit.
Yeah.
It was a legit telescope.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy God, I feel like I'm on the moon right now. But just the enormity of space scares the hell out of me.
Mhm.
Like when, oh, look at this flyby video of Jupiter. I can't watch it. I can't watch it. It's too big. It scares me. I don't know what phobia that is,
Mhm.
or what you'd consider that, if I'm just weird.
there is a phobia about it. I don't know what it's called, but there's also a thing about the fact that when you're looking out, when you're looking into the sky, that you're only conceiving that there's an end when really you're not looking at an end of anything.
Right.
There's no way to. So the like blanket of stars in your mind is the ceiling, and that's it. But in reality, it's not. So you get this sort of where your brain can't conceive that. Like if you look to the top of a skyscraper, and it seems like that skyscraper is the tallest thing that could ever exist, but your brain can wrap around that.
Mhm.
But then how tall would the skyscraper need to be to touch a star? And like, that's not a thing. Like, it's just so far and beyond. And then the part that gets me is that, you start to think about, well, I'm looking up into space, but space is all the way around us.
Right.
So like, someone's looking down at space on the other side of the planet.
The way astronomers and mathematicians together have to try and describe space is very difficult because our pea brains can't comprehend that size numbers.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, well, this thing is 5 light years away, and
It's only 5.
well, traveling at the speed of light, it'll take a year. That's 1 light year.
Yep.
And then to be like, so this thing's 1 billion light years away. Well, how many is 1 billion years? And then to try to describe the size of things and be like, well, the sun has the mass of 20,000 Earths. What? How? Like I don't have like these numbers.
Right.
In front
These
of
are
me.
not fat. Yeah. They're
But
just.
they're my estimates of like I've seen like graphs where they try to describe in simplest terms possible.
I I just want to pause you all, and I can't wait to find out about the 5th grader who has cited OMV in his paper about planets as facts.
Did you know?
It's like, even if it's like how many Earths fit inside of Jupiter, and how many Jupiters can fill the sun.
I think you can fit 3 Earths inside the Great Red Spot alone. I believe it's either 3 Earths or 1 Earth. Again,
Yeah.
whoever's citing this in their research paper, please make sure to give proper credit.
Well, let me. This is a fun fact that I learned on a TV show that I like,
Mhm.
and it is a real fact. And I'm probably going to describe it wrong, but whatever. The width of Australia. Okay,
Mhm.
so like at its widest points, if you were to drive across Australia at its widest points, that width is wider than the moon is wide.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah. So like the moon at its widest points, if you were to just draw a line through it,
Right.
would not be as wide as Australia is. Because the moon is smaller than the Earth, but like that's how much smaller it is.
Right.
And so when you think about that and how small it looks in the sky, but it's still almost, I mean, you know, it's the
biggest thing in the sky to us. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And you're like, no, it must be huge, but it's really just, it's that small and it's that close. And everything else that looks the same size is that much bigger. And so far beyond that, like, whew.
I remember seeing there was a gallery, it was like on Chive or something like 10 years ago, where an artist did realistic pictures or like photoshops of what it would look like if each planet was the same distance from Earth that the moon is.
Mhm.
And like when it got to like the bigger like Jupiter and Saturn and stuff,
Yeah.
it was just the entire sky. And it's
Yeah.
and looking at those pictures, like those were scary images to me.
Yeah.
Like I had to scroll by them quickly because I couldn't do it.
We would be the moon to them.
Yeah. It's it messed me up. The closest I Googled, by the way, the closest star to Earth, you know, in the Alpha Centauri system, 4.3 light years. So
besides our sun?
besides our sun,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
that's
So
not bad.
if you wanted to travel to the nearest star,
Uh-huh.
you'd have to travel at the speed of light.
For 4 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
speed of light in mph. Let's see, 1 mile per hour. That's not what I wanted. That's not. But yeah, you'd have to travel for 4 years straight.
Mhm.
Now keep in mind, you know, like it takes what, like 6 months to get to the moon or something, or to Mars or something like that. I can't remember how that is.
I mean, it's like 4 days to California. That's about the extent I know.
Speed of light in a vacuum is 186,282 miles per second. So you just need to travel that fast
Uh-huh.
for 4 years,
Right.
and you'll get to the closest star.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a worthwhile adventure.
Besides our sun. Anyways, UFOs. We're doing our classic.
Just
Alex,
like-
have you ever seen a UFO?
I have not.
You ever think like maybe, oh, what's that? Do you like nothing comes to mind?
I don't look up, I guess.
That's fair. It's
There's
scary.
like there's been times here and there where like when you know when it's advertised or whatever news tells you there's a meteor shower coming. Like I've gone out to go watch a meteor shower, which confuses me just in the fact that like we see it moving in a straight line, even though what if it's coming straight at us? Like how do we see it doing that from
Mhm.
whatever direction it's traveling? Like why is it traveling across the sky and not straight down? That messes me up.
Right.
But no, I haven't seen a UFO. I haven't had any extraterrestrial experiences.
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna.
Just not looking for it?
No.
No.
That's sometimes when you find it, though. I don't travel enough creepy backwoods, shockingly.
That is mildly surprising.
Just recently, I believe I should probably look this up.
While you look that up.
Okay.
When I was a kid, looking out my bedroom window, I had a second story window looking out, and I was just watching, and like I don't know what it was, but I remember seeing a shape moving around in the sky in a really erratic fashion, and it had a light on it, and I remember thinking that has to be UFO. But I remember when I was a kid, my siblings used to always tell me, if you look at something for long enough, your brain's going to play tricks on you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I still remember my brother playing a prank on me where he had like a pillow, his hand under a pillow.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, stare at the pillow. And I kept flicking the pillow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, my brain is playing tricks on me. I was like 3, shut up. And at the time, I was like, no, my brain's playing tricks on me. There's no way I'm seeing a UFO right now. And I've pretty much convinced myself throughout the rest of my life that it wasn't. It would be cool if it was. Like, let's be real. But
it's talked about in other places, but the human brain is fragile.
Yeah.
and like with our experience, we've talked a lot before about haunted houses and stuff, where if people witness something that they don't really understand it or know what it is, they will make it up.
Right.
And so people that are used to haunted houses go through it and they come out and they know what they saw. People that are unfamiliar with them, who may not be used to them or may have new experiences, do not know what's happening. And their brain is filling in blanks. So they come out and like, we've hung out like at the end of a haunted house and be like, what was your favorite part? What did you like about it? And someone will come out and go, oh, I really like the eyeball monster. And we go, oh, cool, the eyeball monster. That's neat. All right. There's no eyeball monster in that house. We've never put one in there.
But they thought they saw one.
It's not there. But they were convinced they saw an eyeball monster.
Interesting.
Yep. And like this kind of thing happens all the time. Like it's in a less fun fictional format. Like victims of massacres and shootings believe they're seeing things that haven't actually been there. And there's just no way to control it. They're just filling in blanks somehow. So
you want to know really, I'm on Wikipedia right now, which if you're citing this in your research paper, it's pretty much fact now, right? Wikipedia.
They cite things.
In 1973, a survey found that 95% of the public reported having heard of UFOs, whereas only 92% had ever heard of the U.S. President Gerald Ford. So more people had heard of UFOs than the president. Mildly disturbing. But, in popular culture, UFOs, especially at the time, were UFO movies, like, were they prevalent in the 70s? Was that a big time for UFO movies?
Oh, when was Fire in the Sky made?
I have no idea.
Will, do you know Fire in the Sky?
No. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. I couldn't tell you when it was made. I mean, 70s, late 70s was the start of the Alien movies,
93.
Right?
And Star Trek, right?
Yeah, well, Star Trek back to the 60s. So Star Trek was, I think the 70s was probably a small lull for Star Trek, because they did the, obviously the movies, or the show was the 60s, and then I think late 70s is when the first Star Trek motion picture came out, but they picked up more speed in the 80s.
Fire in the Sky the movie was made in 93. It's based off of a thing that happened in 75, where 5 men, they were loggers, they were driving home in a forest, and they saw a mysterious light, and like one of the guys got out of the truck to go look at this light, to be sucked up into the saucer. The other 4 men reported it and like drove home being weirded out and afraid. And they tried to like report it, and they were arrested thinking that they murdered this guy. And eventually he came back like 5 days later and having to tell of this alien abduction. So it's real creepy, and there's a couple different like adaptations of it and stories of it and accounts, and I'm sure there's books, but it's very strange. It's the case of like who's reporting about it and saying, yes, we saw this thing, he went missing, the guy who went missing saying I went missing, and like, is that what actually happened, or are they covering up for like an attempted murder?
Right.
Like, at what point do you say yeah, my friends tried to kill me, but I don't want to get them in trouble, so I'm going to say it was aliens. And then like the 4 guys that had witnessed it, who weren't the abductees and who didn't try to kill their friend, like their story changes sometimes. It's like what I remember hearing is like one of them is willing to talk about it, one of them doesn't want to say anything at all, and some like recant their stories, just try and not be bothered about it anymore. It's wild. It's like one of those things of like people, you might want to get famous and get in the media and then immediately regret it. And this was like partially one of those cases.
Right.
But even so, if it's not about getting in the media, it's like, I didn't kill our friend. He was stolen in the sky. And then people go, well, you're crazy. We're going to talk about you being crazy now. And how do you defend that? You can't prove it. That was a tough one. That's a good one, though. Fire in the Sky. Look up Fire in the Sky. Give it a watch. It's a 90s movie. Who I'm trying to find the actors in it, because we know one of the actors.
We know them, like, personally?
No.
Oh, like they're famous.
Yeah.
We know of them. Still looking.
Yeah, we're not going to know.
Well, Star Trek, or not Star Trek, Star Wars was 77 as well, A New Hope. So I think that the idea of sci-fi and star travel and things were more prominent than the idea of them coming to us. There was a lot more parallels in the 50s and 60s sci-fi of visitors from another planet because of more about the Red Scare and not knowing really what, strangers from another place, i.e. the Russians, that's sort of where those parallels came from. And then it was, well, what if we explored beyond who we were, I think in the 70s, and then it sort of came back into more into the 90s, coming back to them visiting us. I think those were sort of the blanket trends as far as sci-fi and UFOs go. But Star Wars 77, and I think Close Encounters of the Third Kind was also 77, which negates everything I just said. So
when was I mean, I guess you wouldn't really say what was not the Hitchcock movie, the with HAL 9000. What movie is that?
Space Odyssey.
Forbidden Planet?
2001.
Oh, hell yeah.
Open the pod bay doors.
Yeah.
I think that was like 82 or 83.
I'm not sure that's so much. I mean, that's like space travel, but it's not so much like...
No, I'm very wrong. 68.
Whoa!
Huh.
Yeah. Very wrong. 68. Yeah, wow.
Oliver, we're just sitting here contemplating Stanley Kubrick.
So this year, the military, Army, Navy, have been declassifying reports of UFOs, unidentified objects.
Okay.
Because like they travel so many places, they see so much water, they see so much air. The pilots are in the sky. They have so many radars and tracking systems that their job is to go investigate blips on the radar and go look and say, what is that? And there's a lot of these that have happened that stay classified where they're not allowed to talk about it. Because either like they can't confirm what it is. Like imagine driving home and like seeing an animal cross the road and you didn't quite catch what it was. And then like you're not going to post it on Facebook. It's like, hey, I saw a thing. Yeah, it was a raccoon. Are you sure? No.
It was probably a possum. You ever seen a possum in real life? They're vile.
But like, if you didn't quite catch it, what do you have to say about it? You can't say anything.
Right.
Because it's not the truth. It's not hard evidence. So there's a lot of these things that have happened where there's a pretty rad video of a pilot flying his, I think it was his F-18.
Mm-hmm.
And it's equipped with like manual tracking cameras to, watch whatever they have to. And I caught on to this this craft that was traveling real fast, and he couldn't tell what it was. The thermal imager just made it look like it was real hot.
Right.
It was like superheated compared to everything else that was around it. and like he couldn't like get any closer to it, but like that was released. So there's a lot now coming out that like There's telling pilots and Navy guys like, you're allowed to talk about these now. Yeah. Which, if they are allowed to talk about them and they do start telling stories, that's going to be wild.
Right. But I mean, like, do you think people are going to be like, oh, well, you know, it's not as sexy anymore if it's unclassified? Like, that must mean that there's no substance there. There's nothing to it. If it's, I don't want the classified shit, because that's the stuff, why aren't they telling us?
Right. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, give me the meat. Give me the, you know, the government, it's conspiracy, Area 51, let's storm it. Area 51, let's go Naruto run at it. Remember when that happened?
That was like a week ago. Dude.
Yeah, and we got all those beautiful memes.
Those were fun.
Yeah, I think that's the only good thing that came with, like, did you see the Star Wars mashup?
No.
Of the, you know, the new Star Wars trailer where, spoilers if you're avoiding the Star Wars trailer, where Rey's in the sand and the ship's coming at her and she starts running away. Someone photoshopped the guy Naruto running as the ship.
As the ship? That's fun.
I wish I was creative. Flying saucers.
You got something, Will?
I was just thinking about driving out to California on my way there. I'd always wanted to visit Arizona. There was like this thing internally that was just pulling me there. Like, I've got to see Arizona. I've got to visit it. There's something there. I mean, maybe I want to live there. I don't really know. So I was like, well, we're gonna drive through Arizona. This is gonna be great. And it was like we hit the Arizona border at nightfall, pitch black, and drove through most of Arizona, almost about to run out of fuel, like desperately trying to find a gas station and a hotel. So driving through the desert in Arizona, I was just eyes to the sky. Like I wanted. My brother and I were searching the every AM station that we could possibly try to find to see if Coast to Coast AM was being broadcast at that time, because I wanted to listen to UFO talk on AM radio out in the middle of the desert. And completely freak myself out. So
that's like a bucket list item.
Yeah, and it totally failed. It was dark. We couldn't see anything. There were no stars in the sky. There was no lights to eerily light the desert. There was no Coast to Coast broadcasting at that time on any channel that we could find. And I do remember going through parts of Nevada and there being like truck stops with giant alien heads on the top of the gas station, just trying to bank off of the Area 51, buzz, even though we weren't anywhere near Area 51 at the time. But it was kind of cool to drive through that and see that and think about X-Files episodes and other sci-fi movies and all the stereotypes that go along with, like, why are they always in the desert? They're either in the desert or out in the middle of the woods. Like,
yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Do not want to look at a city? Like,
yeah. Most stories are not from, New York City, Boston,
There's a lot of light pollution there.
Yeah. Can't see
I guess they don't get too close. I had made a trip a couple of times between Las Vegas, Nevada, and a town in Utah. And it's a 3-hour drive. And for 1 hour in between there, you're in a dead zone. There's no radio. There's no cell signal. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no internet. Nothing. You're just dead zoned for an hour until, like, if you get abandoned or stuck or whatever, you just hope someone else comes by. Maybe then.
That's probably the scariest thing I could ever imagine.
I wouldn't want to go out there. Will, can you remind us, or I kind of know, but not sure, what is Coast to Coast AM?
It was probably the most known and also syndicated paranormal talk show. George Norrie, Art Bell created it, I believe. He hosted for a while, and George Norrie was also another host among a few others. But it's really like when you think of a scene of a truck driver driving through the desert listening to UFO talk, it's usually, riffing off of Coast to Coast AM. And they covered everything from, government conspiracies to aliens to Bigfoot to there was one particular one that I listened to recently on a plane was all about how wiretapping and the government listening in on you and everything. So they really covered a broad spectrum of conspiracy and paranormal. But my favorite episodes were always the UFOs and Bigfoot episodes. So, and they balanced a good amount of interviews with people who really knew what they were talking about, and then just call-in segments with just whoever wanted to call in and talk to Art or George, and they would interview them. And one of my favorites was someone who had called in, and as they're talking to Art Bell, they've started to convince themselves that it's not really Art Bell that they're talking to. They're talking to an automated recording. And so Art Bell just starts going with it. And he's like now playing along that, yes, I'm a recording. And tell me your story. And so he is doing like half of a robot voice, just going, tell me your story. Tell me your story. And he's like, no, I want to talk to the real Art. I am the real Art. Tell me your story. And the story was about how the guy's cat could play a guitar that it made. It was just phenomenal.
Huh.
When was it? And you'll have to forgive me. I am uneducated. When the guy read was it War of the Worlds?
Yeah.
Where he read it on the radio and people thought it was real.
He performed it on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was
Orson
that?
Welles.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
But I didn't want to sound stupid and say the wrong name. Now I sound even dumber.
They say that like the hysteria that caused has been overblown over history, and like it wasn't quite that bad. Like
people killing each other and
right, and storming the streets.
Yep.
But hey, it sold more records.
And then we got a Tom Cruise movie, right?
Yeah.
Right, fellas?
I think there's a new something getting made too.
With Tom Cruise?
No.
Oh.
Shut up. Tom Cruise ruins everything I like.
Oh,
Jared's a big Tom Cruise
I'm
fan.
I'm a big. I don't know if I'm an apologist because I don't condone his whatever
Existence?
I like his movies. I really enjoy his movies. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, but that's
I hate
neither.
him.
That's fair. That's fair.
I
That's
hate
more.
his movies. He just every time he's on screen, I get angry. And then the cherry on top, he ruined the shared Marvels or shared Universal Monster universe that they were trying to create. I'm convinced it is all Tom Cruise's fault.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I did you see the new Mummy, or was that
No, because it's got Tom Cruise in it.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was it.
Of course.
That's it.
Yeah, that was the start of it. It was supposed to like open up a shared classic Universal horror universe, and then it just tanked. They went, oh, let's run away from this.
Bring back Brendan Fraser is all I have to say.
He's busy being Robot Man.
He's in
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. Yeah. Yep.
The video I mentioned was the Go Fast video. If you look up East Coast Go Fast 2015, that was leaked in 2017. It was an FA-18 Super Hornet, and it was using its Raytheon Advanced Targeting Forward-Looking Infrared.
That's what they want you to think.
And there's a video like describing what's on the screen. Like you get to see what it's tilted. Like I can't even describe what the stuff is. But like the auto targeter, what was that? The Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, like caught this thing. And it said it was similar to one off San Diego in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
A fast-moving white oval about 45 feet long, no wings, no exhaust plume. So like your infrared isn't picking up exhaust.
But it was like on the infrared as being a hot thing.
Oh yeah.
But no exhaust. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
And
There was just
how big is 45 feet long?
45 feet? That's pretty big.
There was just like a week or two ago footage from, I want to say like a cruise liner or something, of lights in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 40 seconds of somebody's phone, some guy on vacation And he's filming these lights in the sky, and he's like, look at it, there's lights in the sky. We're in the middle of nowhere. And he just like pans back and forth around the boat to show that like there's no land or anything anywhere nearby. And it's just like, what is it? I don't know. I guess I'll shut my phone off and go back to the buffet. But
Can't blame him.
But yeah, there was just recently, like, I don't know, I feel like it came up in my news feed like a week ago. Some random lights out in the ocean.
Which makes it even scarier, man, because like there's less. Because at least like sometimes you can explain things, but in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere, like.
Well, it's a whole nother scary level, just because, just like we don't know what's in the infinite of space, we still don't know what it's at the bottom of the ocean.
No.
Right.
And if they're partnering, we're all in trouble.
Just like War of the Worlds. Like
the Atlanteans and the Thanagarians together, they'll be unstoppable.
Oh yeah, they'll destroy us. They'll wreak havoc. I mean, it is. What's that? They always say like we know more about space
than we do about our own ocean.
Than we do about the bottom. Yeah, it's which is equal parts terrifying and fascinating.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the lights above the New Jersey Turnpike. That happened in 2001. Motorists stopped to look at the sky in July for 50 minutes. And there was a weird like orange and yellow lights in a V formation between the Arthur Kill Waterway and Staten Island. Or that was Carteret, New Jersey.
Turned out to be geese, right? Was it just geese with lights on them?
Police lieutenant was a witness. Other Metro residents were there. And air traffic controllers initially denied that any airplane, military jets, or space flights could have caused mysterious lights.
They initially denied it.
But a different set of investigators claimed to receive FAA radar data corroborated that the UFO sightings happened. The second one was the USS Nimitz in 2004. The O'Hare International Airport saucer in 2006 was a big one. There was a movie made about that. It was about a kid who like could better calculate the size of the ship and how high up it was, and then like predict its next appearance. But like that part was fiction. But that's one where 12 employees like all saw this thing between pilots, ground crew, people in the airport. But the control tower did not see it. Stevensville sightings in 2008 was one in Texas, 100 miles south of Dallas. So if at some point like you want to like check into these things, like these are your generic titles to go search for, which are pretty wild.
Yeah, there's like notable U.S. cases looking here on like the wiki, like it has the Roswell incident, the Betty and Barney Hill abduction, the first reported abduction incident.
Yeah,
that was in 1961.
The Hudson Valley UFO was weird because they were reported as just being lights, but they were in a formation where like they were flying in a triangle. And if it was one ship, then the back end of it was about a football field wide.
Oh.
Which
no, thank you.
And like what happens a lot with this when people get the sightings, they say one of the key things is that there's no sound. They don't hear anything. It's there, it's hovering. They don't hear white noise. They don't hear jets. They don't hear rotor blades. Nothing.
Right.
And they say like, well, there's stealth jets or there's black helicopters. Have you seen? There's a video of like in a like a desert area or something. There's like a cabin house and like a dog on the porch, and a black helicopter lands like behind the house and takes off again. And the dog doesn't budge. And a person comes out with a food bowl and shakes it, and you can hear the rattle, and the dog perks up and hears that.
Right.
But like didn't hear a helicopter coming down.
No, thank you.
So they say those are things. And so people have said like, well, that was actually this very specific type of aircraft that we've had for years.
Right.
Which is what is usually attributed to like the black triangles that people see.
Like the stealth bombers.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, the Hudson Valley is one of my favorite. And I think last podcast left did 2 episodes on the Rendlesham Forest ones, which was like a U.S. base, but was in England. And like, there's conspiracies that like, well, that was just the English troops like having fun and like teasing the American troops that were there. But there's like weird radioactivity pieces left over. There was a fireball. There's flashes of lights, and the weird thing about that one was that it happened on 2 separate nights.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there was a December 26th event, and there's a December 28th event. But they're all pretty wild. I'm sure if you look around, like you'd find like better reports than us just naming things.
Do you think it's fun?
Really get into it.
Like it's because you can go really deep into this stuff and really get into like the conspiracy theory portion of it, and like the serious UFO hunters, and there's TV shows and there's all that stuff. Do you think it's just not necessarily like you believe in UFOs, but like it's fun to think, maybe, like maybe UFOs are cool. Like, if I saw something in the sky, like I'd be like, holy, that might be so. Like I wouldn't immediately just be like debunking it in my brain, be like, oh, that must be this.
It's a reflection of something.
It's impossible. UFOs do not like. I think that kind of attitude is somewhat common. Just like, oh, maybe. Why not? What's the harm in maybe seeing, maybe kind of believe, not necessarily believing. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
We're 3 guys.
Yeah.
Let's say we're confident in our physical ability.
Yeah.
We're somewhere where there's not many people. We see a UFO. We've seen horror movies and comedies, and we have common sense. Do we tear ass and get out of there? Or do we go investigate?
See,
like, how much do you want to figure out the unknown, or do you just is there a survival thing that kicks in?
It depends on like where did you set the scene? Where were we? Were we like in a field?
Let's say on a road in the woods.
Oh man.
Let's say we're in somewhere in New Hampshire.
I just immediately we're gonna die. Like I'd rather not. I'm okay with saying, oh, I saw something weird, and then never seeing it again.
Well, like, would you want to get closer to figure it out, or would you just tear ass and get out of there? We'll leave.
The video game player in me is like, oh, of course I'd want to get closer. but the realist in me and how it would actually react in that situation, I'd probably want to get as far away from it as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really like living.
Or would it be like a sit still and observe?
Maybe a little bit of that first.
Yeah.
What about you, Will?
Well, I think I'd probably sit still and observe and try not to move and hope not to be observed at first. But I'm torn because when I was a kid, E.T. terrified me. Like just the movie, and like E.T. is supposed to be a sort of cuter, imagining of what alien life might be. But man, I did not like the way E.T. moved. I didn't like the part where he turned all white. I didn't, none of that when I was little. But then at the same time, like there's this part of me that hopes that it's more like First Contact, where, it's just a Vulcan, and they just want to like open up a conversation and a dialogue about space, and maybe show me something cool. Are they going to be more humanoid? Are they going to be disgusting in my definition of disgusting? I don't want to be the first person to meet an alien race, and just because of the unfortunate way that they need to live, that they turn out to be one of like the gross aliens, and I just throw up, and that's their first impression.
That must be how they say hello.
Yeah, just projectile vomited.
It's like It's like there's a meme briefly about how, like, just what if oxygen is poisonous to us? It just takes a really long time to kill us. And like extraterrestrial beings like know this already and go, these people live among this and they just breathe this their entire life. They're monsters. Like they're unkillable. How do they do this?
I mean,
that'd be amusing to me.
That's like signs. We live on a planet just full of this death liquid.
Yeah.
And we just casually live here.
We drink it.
The other thing too, to go back to your question of like, would I investigate or not? I just don't think my brain would go to aliens first.
Right.
I think that my brain is wired more to ghosts and goblins and monsters and you know, other things that I don't know unless I saw like, oh, that is a saucer and I think it just crashed behind that hill line. You know, I don't know that I would go to that immediately. If it was just lights, I might think, you know, specters first.
I might immediately jump to hoax. And
Hoax,
I would be looking for a crane.
Right.
Be looking for wires.
Where's the hidden cameras?
Do I hear a generator running?
Yeah.
Like, are there cameras? Like, is there a fog machine?
What television show is about to like surprise me with an NDA?
Right. Like, I'm looking around me more than I'm looking at the thing. Probably. Just because I'd be too much of a skeptic. If anything, I'm investigating, like, what's holding this thing up?
How'd they build that?
Yeah. Can I make one?
How do I replicate it, but with half the budget?
Can I? Is someone filming this? I want to take a piece home.
How do I work that in the theme park?
Hey guys, that new movie coming out? I stole a prop from it. It's an entire ship.
It actually flies too. It's crazy. What do you like? Do each of you have a favorite? You know, and I'm not sure of many examples of this. Like, I think It would be one of, or The Thing rather would be one of them. It might also be another one. Did It crash land on Earth? I can't remember.
No.
But like, you know, the in terms of like in movies, with UFO type movies, with whether with a being or whatever that entails, like, what would be your favorite, like, kind of, do you know what I'm getting at? Like,
is this the longest way to ask what our favorite alien themed movie is?
what is your favorite? Hold on, I think I got it. Alien themed movie. I finally got there. Luckily, with no help whatsoever. Movie with a UFO in it. Do you like any?
You know, I do really love the tone and the feel and the vibe, and just the watching experience of Close Encounters. Spielberg is one of my favorites, so it's just right up there. And Richard Dreyfuss, great performance, just like making the mashed potatoes into a mountain, and this means something, all of that. So I really like that movie. I guess that would probably be my answer to that. But I mean, I love the X-Files, so
right.
You know, it's kind of that. I like more of the mystery and the fantasy of it, rather than aliens are just tearing apart the world right now.
Aliens are here.
I don't. Yeah, they're here and they're angry and they're blowing stuff up and now we have to run. I think I'm less into that style of the alien movies than just like the mystery of like chasing it down and trying to find out the truth about what it is. I think that's a more compelling story.
I loved one of my favorite movies of the past like couple of years was Arrival with Amy Adams and Renner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought it went well into like, you know, oh hey, these things just they randomly showed up. Or was it just the one? I think it's just the one.
No, there was a couple.
There's a couple, yeah.
Because other countries had to do them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like it's just sitting there and it's just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
And what the fuck do we do? You know, it's just, do you approach it? Do you immediately just bomb it? Do you shoot a missile at it? Just get out of here, go away, please? Or do you try to communicate with it? Do you, like, I thought,
I liked how that and Contact both dealt with the groups of humans who were fanatics.
Yep.
Who like had to do something about it.
Jake Busey.
Yeah. Yep. It's like, well, because when you're dealing with the unknown, like, people in the singular can have constructive thought and deduction, but people in groups have hysteria.
Right.
So you'd want to deal with people one by one, because if you deal with a group, then you're just going to get hysteria, and that's not going to work out well.
Right.
And like, you have to present it in a very specific manufactured form.
What about you? You got any faves?
I was creeped out, and I liked The Fourth Kind. which is a movie from 2009. Mila Jovovich is in it. And she talks about an abduction. I think it was her daughter. And there's another person involved. And just like talking about it or like trying to explain it made them come back to try and keep them quiet.
Oh, okay.
And at one point, like they're levitating, either getting just pulled through the wall kind of thing, where that's how they get abducted. But like one of the characters in it like ends up having their back broken. And like they're just a quadriplegic now.
Right.
And that gets pretty creepy. And hearing them like explain the story and talk about it, and one of the main characters was like accused of causing that person's injury to snap their neck and do that to him, and she's like, but it wasn't me. I don't have the strength or power to do that.
Right.
And it turned out to be, I found that creepy, and just like the influence that it was aliens that were doing this, that could just like levitate you and phase you through a wall to take you away. And then like, who's gonna believe you? And it was also in a town in Alaska, no less. So like, what kind of strong, tools and tech and believing your neighbors do they have there? I mean, it's Alaska. They deal with poachers more than, I don't know, extraterrestrial crimes.
Right.
But that one got me pretty good. I dug that.
UFOs, man. I admittedly haven't seen many alien movies, like, aside from like all the ones that you kind of expect, like District. I saw District 9, blew me away at first with all the blatant, like, is it an undertone when it's that heavy? Like, is it overtone at that point? But like, with the symbolism, but it's scary shit, man. There's no way we're alone. There's no way. I want to believe. That's a Duchovny thing, right?
Oh,
Will got it.
Real news organizations were just reporting on cattle mutilations.
Right.
Where all the blood is sucked out of them.
Gross.
There's just no blood. Which, like, CNN reported on it, NPR reported on it. And it's like, real news hasn't reported on this stuff before. It's usually just been, like, local newspapers. Or...
Okay, but we're talking UFOs, not chupacabras. And that's clearly a case of chupacabra.
No, they drink goat blood, not cows, not cattle.
Oh, right. They're goat suckers.
Yeah. Like, I don't think a chupacabra could, like, take a whole herd.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
You sound disappointed, Will. No, probably not.
I think I'm just more disappointed in my joke falling. And then I'm more disappointed in myself to not remember that they're more of a goat sucker than a cattle drinker.
No, I like chupacabras. They're okay. They're my favorite.
Oh, they're great, yeah.
Yeah, 5 purebred bulls mysteriously showed up dead on this ranch this past summer, drained of blood with precise body parts precisely removed.
Gross.
Which body parts was it?
It must be aliens.
Oh, is that a pic? That looks weird. Oh, that's creeping me out. It looks like a cow just deflated. Like the fur's still there, but like it's just imagine a deflated cow. Okay,
and now imagine a cow that's been blow dried. They're adorable and fluffy.
It's like when you just mash down a beach ball and there it sits.
Huh. Oh, that's the most vile description of anything I've ever heard.
Well,
that's life.
I guess I'm just picturing it to be looking like more mummified than what you're probably seeing. So
it must be aliens. Is that what you're getting at? Has to be aliens.
Well, the ranch is putting up a reward for any information. We'll just knock on the door. Hey, it was aliens.
It was aliens.
Can I have money?
Money, please. Maybe it was just a lot of vampire bats. Am I right?
They're 2,000-pound bulls.
Yeah, a lot of vampire bats. I feel like they could do that.
There's no signs of buzzards, coyotes, or other scavengers.
Huh. But are there signs of aliens? Think about that one.
Oh.
They're a crop circle around the cow.
Its tongue and genitals had been cut out.
Naturally.
Surgically cut out. They're worth
like
$6 grand each.
Of ways to die, I think being drained of all my blood and having my tongue and genitals removed is probably low on the list. to be honest. If I'm honest.
That's the way you wouldn't want to do it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, if you got to go out, just go out in the extreme.
Yeah, like, am I unconscious, though?
No. Oh, you're totally awake.
Yeah.
For it. Yeah.
Like, do my tongue and genitals get removed before I'm drained of my blood? Is it during?
Or are they like an after trophy?
If I were an alien mutilating cows, I would drain the blood first, then cut out the parts that I want, because then they're not going to bleed.
They're not going to bleed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
This is. Anyone watch Dexter? I don't watch Dexter.
I watched the first 3 seasons of Dexter.
He likes blood, I guess.
He's a forensic scientist and he studies blood splatter.
Yeah.
So like he goes to a scene and he's like, okay, there was like a gunshot this way and it splattered here. You're looking for this, whatever.
But there was one time there was no blood.
What?
What's he gonna do?
Oh my god.
Oh no.
The body was drained and it turned out I'm not going to give it away.
Aliens?
No.
Oh.
Nope. No. Dexter's a good show for the first couple seasons though. Very, very recommend. Anyways, we are just about out of time. That's enough ramblings about UFOs and unidentified flying objects. Will, thank you so much for coming on and talking about spooky stuff with us. I hope your spooky season is going well and continues to go well. And I miss you. I hope we're able to connect soon. Now that you're on the coast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Only a couple hours away. Instead
Exactly.
of, a day on a plane. So
It's
yeah.
It's much cause for much rejoicing. We should plan a trip, a post Halloween trip, if you will, to the shop in Worcester. What's it called?
That's entertainment.
That's Entertainment.
That's entertainment.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
And do some
Yes.
retail therapy.
Yes.
By the way, if you're listening and you're into comics, if you're in like the Worcester area, Massachusetts, Connecticut, go to That's Entertainment in Worcester. We're not even being paid to say this. They're just that good of a store. It's a neat little shop.
We just love them.
Yep. Very good shop. But I'm done rambling. Will, thanks again for coming on. Always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. That's going to do it, though, for this week. Until next time, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Will.
And this has been episode 391 of Opinions. Could you tell I lost my notes? 391 of Opinions May Vary.